Let's take a journey through space, blow some stuff up, fix whatever is broken, and maybe do a little rummaging through junk in between. This indie gem is called Void Crew. What is up, zombies and ghouls? Spaced here, coming at you with my first impressions on this sick new early access game that just dropped onto Steam. Void Crew is exactly what it sounds like it would be, a crew game. There's a bunch of crew games such as Barotrauma, Sea of Thieves, Pulsar, the list goes on. And if you like those games, I'd venture to say that you'll probably like this game as well. Void Crew establishes what seems like an overwhelming myriad of information when you first load into the game. But let me inform you, it's not. It just appears that way. So first things first, as always, you'll want to play through the tutorial. You may even want to play the tutorial a couple of times in order to get a feel for everything. This is including where things are, how they work, and how you can interact with them. After you play through the tutorial, you'll want to jump straight into playing to get into the action, right? But I implore you not to do this. Be sure to take the time to actually look around the hub area. You may even find that it looks quite similar to another game if you've ever played it. The game I'm referring to is Deep Rock Galactic. Both games operate out of a hub location, and just like in Deep Rock Galactic, you have a terminal here to customize your character known as an X-type. You're able to change the colors and look of your gear, including your helmet and suit, as well as your facial hologram. Leveling up your character by playing and from completing objectives awards you with new unlockables that will be available in this terminal. You can also edit your gene tree here. The gene tree is essentially a skill tree. You get gene points when leveling up to unlock perks in your gene tree to make your X-type's life a little easier during their space journey. Either that, or get them ready for the hard spacefaring road ahead. You'll want to make sure to allocate your points for the role you're going to be playing. Speaking of roles, no, not that kind. You can play a huge role in helping yourself to more game reviews, guides, and other gaming shenanigans by clicking that subscribe button. As far as in-game roles go, let's take a look at Pilot first. The pilot is in charge of flying the ship, of course, but other tasks may be required of the pilot depending on who you're playing with. We'll get into that here in a bit. We then have Gunner. Gunner is the X-type that mans the guns on your ship. They have to make sure to take out enemies when they're within range and cover the Scavenger during EVA. Then following that will be Scavenger. Scavenger's role can vary between playing as a gunner, going EVA to repair the ship, or loot an area or helping grab items from the scoop. Last, but certainly not least, is Grease Monkey. Grease Monkey is the engineer. Their job is to handle power and maintenance throughout the ship. This can include jump navigation, engine, power, and damage. We'll take a deeper look at all the roles here in a moment, but let's explore the hub a little further. The second terminal towards the landing bay inside of the hub allows you to select your ship loadout. Each of the ships are equipped with different weapons and other various types of gadgetry. So be sure to check back here often to see all the new ships you can unlock as you continue to level up. The third terminal you want to take a look at is the mission terminal. From this terminal you can select multiple different mission types. Each mission will feature a certain amount of objectives depicted by the number of white icons seen here. If you are just starting out, you'll want to make sure to have a full crew. If more than a couple of you are newbies and need to learn the ropes, so to speak, I highly suggest that you and your crew embark on a single objective mission, then go from there. Also, do keep in mind that the more objectives within the mission, the longer it takes to complete. The longest it's taken any of the crews I've played with to complete a full 3-step mission is around an hour. That's with us really taking our time and doing all of the secondary objectives as well. Speaking of crews, there is one caveat to this game that I think I need to get out of the way before we get any further. Although it is something that I believe will make a lot of you love it. This game, as of right now when I'm recording this video, is not a single player game, despite what some of the Steam store tags may say. There may be a very select few players that are able to get by in their lonesome, but don't go into this thinking that that's what this game is, because it's not. Void Crew, as its name suggests, is specifically designed as a crew game. And of course, this would deter people that were wanting more of a single player experience, and I can completely understand that. That's fine. Just needed to get that out of the way so that I'm not stringing along any of you single player gamers. So what about the players that don't have friends or family to team up with them on a regular basis? Well, I'm happy to tell you that Void Crew thus far has had one of the nicest communities I've ever had the privilege of being a part of, which brings us to our fourth terminal that lies within the hub area, the Matchmaking Terminal. You can use this terminal, of course, to matchmake with other players. This works really well if you're a little more seasoned in the world of Void Crew. But what if you're super green, looking to get your feet wet for the first time? In that case, I highly recommend the official Discord for the game, which I will be linking in the description down below. There you can meet and group up with a ton of people that will be willing to help you get on your way. After you get everything all set up and ready to go, you'll run up and ride these cool little airlifts. The airlifts bring you into another nod to Deep Rock Galactic in the form of the mission launch. Instead of riding a drill ship down into the core, in Void Crew, you'll be teleporting there through a static transmission. Of course, I'm not going to spoil all of the missions for you, but I do want to show you some straight up gameplay of how the missions look when playing each role. When playing as the pilot, the name of the game is going to be Dive, Duck, Dip, Dive, and Dodge. You're going to be spending a lot of time dodging shots. When not dodging shots of your enemies like a bullet hell nightmare, you'll either be backing your tail up into some loot to pick it up in a gravity scoop, or dropping off your scavenger to EVA sites. Funnily enough, the easiest way to get the loot they bring out of the EVA sites is to back up the gravity scoop into them as they throw it. Other than that, you're going to be the glue that holds the whole ship together. You're the only player that gets a third-person view of the ship, so many crews will have the pilot play as a makeshift captain giving orders, pinging enemies, delegating tasks, and stuff like that. I think this goes without saying, but I'm gonna say it anyway. Make sure you and your crew are on the same page before you go around being a bossy pants, alright? Nobody wants to be that person. One thing to take note of in regards to playing as the pilot is that you do not have all 6 degrees of movement. You are unable to pitch or roll. A lot of players, including myself, do not like this very much because it makes the combat feel really one-dimensional. As far as gunner goes, you're going to be sitting in your gun taking out all kinds of enemies, from these little dudes to bombers, the scary sniper drones, and the full-on destroyers. What's really cool about gunner is you can add upgrade modules to make your gun do more damage, fire at a faster rate, up your accuracy, and more. Gunner is probably my favorite role to play as. My second favorite role has to be Scavenger. When playing as Scavenger, your job usually ends up jumping in between playing as a temporary gunner and emptying the gravity scoop of the loot you pick up. Your main purpose when playing this role is quite a bit more satisfying, however. That purpose is EVA, also known as extravehicular activity. Scavenger, when spec'd out with the right perks, will have an easier time outside of the ship to do repairs or completing mission objectives such as collecting loot off of broken down stations and activating terminals on stations. My least favorite role, not because it's bad, but because I'm claustrophobic, is Grease Monkey. Grease Monkey plays a crucial part in maintaining the ship's well-being. When playing as this role, you'll be fixing the ship up by keeping the ship's engine trim down to a minimum, monitoring life support levels, repairing damage, and handling distribution of power amongst the ship. You'll usually be the one to power up the Void Jump Drive to go to the next sector of the map once an objective is completed. Many crews will also have the Grease Monkey do all of the crafting using the Fabricator. If you don't do your job correctly when playing as this role, you can easily take out your whole crew in a hurry. This game is in early access, so that does mean that we have to cut them a little bit of slack when it comes to these kinds of things, but there is some bugs, and some of them are quite annoying and possibly game-breaking. Bugs like getting stuck inside of walls or being thrown into space, which unfortunately seems to clip you into the ether because the ship can't pick you up. What really makes this early access game great is the level of immersion you get. Just having the ability to leave the ship is a feature that the developers at Hootly Hut should be applauded for. There's very few games where you can seamlessly enter and exit a spaceship, then fly it around, especially when you consider multiplayer. The only game that is relatively current with these features that I can think of is Star Citizen, and that's if you would go as far as to call it a game. It's more of a tech demo in my opinion, but I digress. I may be missing some games though. Please let me know down in the comments if I'm missing any games that have these features. The other immersive aspects come from the sound. When running around the ship, you can hear the sounds of the gunfire and other outside elements. It's just great. Take a listen.
Gravity scoop has retrieved an item.
I was going to take a few minutes to describe how the missions work and some of the best ways to complete them, but I've decided that I'm going to do something a little bit better. Sometime in the near future, when we get a more concrete roadmap for the game, I'll do a complete mission guide on Void Crew. But I need to know if you zombies and ghouls are actually interested in me making content about this game, so drop a like to let me know. I don't have any other critiques on this game other than what I've already mentioned, and I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with it. I know a lot of players in the community have expressed interest in seeing an endless mode, and the devs have even hinted at it here. So hopefully we'll be seeing information on that soon. Only time will tell. And I will be seeing you in the second part of this double feature. Stay tuned.